Episode 17 of the Pakistani drama Humrahi takes the story into one of its most tragic and emotionally devastating phases. The episode aired on the 22nd of May 2026 and stars Danish Taimur as Sayhaan, Hiba Bukhari as Elif, and Shahzad Nawaz as Ghazi Yousuf. The episode focuses heavily on Elif's heartbreaking fate, Ghazi Yousuf's guilt, and Sayhaan's desperate attempts to understand what has happened to the woman he loves. The episode begins with Sayhaan still struggling with his worsening heart condition. His health has deteriorated to such an extent that the people around him know that his life is in serious danger. Earlier, Ghazi Yousuf had discovered that Elif was the perfect donor match for Sayhaan, creating an unbearable situation for everyone. Elif's love for Sayhaan had already placed her in an impossible position because saving his life would require an enormous sacrifice from her. Elif's emotional condition becomes increasingly fragile. She loves Sayhaan deeply and wants him to survive, but she is also overwhelmed by the circumstances surrounding his illness. Her desperation eventually reaches a point where she considers ending her own life. This revelation becomes one of the most painful aspects of the episode because Elif is not simply a donor in this story, she is a woman caught between love, sacrifice, fear, and hopelessness. Ghazi Yousuf, meanwhile, is consumed by the decisions he has made. His desperation to save his son has pushed him toward actions that he can no longer justify to himself. When he discovers that Elif had planned to end her life shortly before her death, he is devastated. He realizes that her death was connected to a situation that he had helped create, and the knowledge fills him with overwhelming remorse. The official episode synopsis specifically highlights Ghazi Yousuf learning about Elif's intention and becoming tormented by guilt after her loss. The most painful part for Ghazi Yousuf is that Sayhaan does not know the complete truth. Sayhaan continues asking about Elif because he cannot understand why she is no longer beside him. For him, Elif is the person he loves and the person who had given him hope when his life seemed to be falling apart. Her sudden absence therefore becomes almost impossible for him to accept. Ghazi Yousuf finds himself trapped between two unbearable choices. If he tells Sayhaan what really happened, he fears that the truth could destroy his son emotionally and possibly worsen his already fragile physical condition. On the other hand, keeping the truth hidden means carrying an enormous secret while watching his son search for answers. This creates intense emotional tension throughout the episode. Sayhaan repeatedly tries to understand where Elif has gone. His questions make Ghazi Yousuf increasingly uncomfortable because every question reminds him of his actions and the consequences of his decisions. The father who once believed that he could control his son's destiny now finds himself powerless against the emotional destruction surrounding them. The episode also emphasizes the tragic irony of Ghazi Yousuf's intentions. He wanted to protect Sayhaan and save his life, but his decisions have instead created circumstances that threaten Sayhaan's emotional stability. The official synopsis describes this as a catastrophic chain of events in which choices made to protect a loved one become the very walls that divide a family. As the episode progresses, Ghazi Yousuf becomes increasingly isolated by his secret. His guilt does not disappear simply because Sayhaan remains unaware of the truth. Every interaction with his son becomes painful because he knows that Sayhaan is grieving without even knowing exactly what he has lost. Sayhaan's condition also remains a major concern. The medical crisis that began earlier continues to hang over the story. The people around him know that his heart is extremely weak, while the emotional shock surrounding Elif creates another danger.